Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm Krashy, and today I'm sick. I'm sorry. I probably sound bad, but been kind of sick for a couple days, so just trying to get over this sinus infection, whatever's going on thing. But wanted to talk about something really interesting that kind of came out of nowhere a little bit. Yesterday I posted a community post here on the channel, and I'm actually going to pull it back up because I want to see what the current results of it are. And it was a poll. And I said, if Unite was to make the matchmaking better, and I put in parentheses, more strict, how long would you be willing to wait for a ranked match? And then I put in parentheses, imagine if Masters rank had matchmaking that could only match players within 200 to 400 points apart. So essentially, like apart from one another. Essentially, I was asking players, like, how long are you willing to wait to play much more serious and strong matches, right? Some really competitive matches. Now, I didn't even actually know what options to put on the poll when I did it, but I just kind of went with my gut. So I put 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then I put other and share your thoughts in the comments. So 68% of the 4.6 thousand votes said 3 minutes, 21% said 5 minutes, 7% said 10 minutes, and then 4% said other. Now, there were a lot of people that said other, essentially saying, like, none, like into 1 minute, max, like, we're not going to wait long for a 10-minute game. And this sparked a lot of conversation, some good, some bad, but really got me thinking. So in my perspective now, I feel like it's really interesting because I already wait like 2 to 3 minutes. So I feel like I put that on there not expecting it to win the vast majority of the vote because I literally already wait that sometimes. Now, not always, don't get me wrong, but I already do wait sometimes for like 3 minutes to find a game. Usually it's between 1 and 2 minutes, I'd say, but the matches are not good. So that's a thing for sure. But I was thinking that the votes would be much more centered around 5 minutes and then maybe leaning toward 10 minutes. But there was a lot of conversation about, hey, the appeal of this game is that it's, quick, it's 10 minutes. And I completely agree. I don't actually think that they'll ever make a game mode longer than 10 minutes. I don't think that it fits the game because I think the whole point is being quick, on the go, to the point. And that really, really works for Unite. So one thing that has me kind of spinning with this whole thing is this discussion of casual versus competitive, standard versus ranked. And it really begs the question of, will Pokemon Unite ever really be a competitive game, or should it ever really be a competitive game? I think for me personally, as someone that plays the game super seriously, I mean, I don't play tournaments really, we kind of do, but as someone that plays the game very seriously, I love the fact that the game is very competitive. I think gameplay-wise, the game can be very competitive, but community-wise, the game feels very, very casual. I don't really see an outcome, I can really think of what to say here, where this game gets much more competitive than it is. And I think the reason why is because the catch-22 of having this easy accessibility and low barrier for entry, with the game being like a 10-minute game, is that it actually can't get much more competitive than it is now because it would require some big changes like matchmaking and rank changes. And I think that that's a compromise or a sacrifice that they're not willing to make. So today's discussion really is about, can this game even be considered competitive? Should we be considering it competitive outside of like 5 stacking? And what should we expect going forward with the nature of ranked mode in this game? Because I think that there is an overall sentiment, right? It's a massive sentiment that matchmaking in this game is bad. They made adjustments to matchmaking in air quotes, and it did nothing. I think some people are claiming and have some, kind of like anecdotes that show that it kind of makes it worse. But the matchmaking in this game, and I'll say it conclusively, I think is really, really bad. And I think the ranked mode ties into that, right? Like if the ranked mode's not good and everybody's masters and bad players are masters, then it doesn't really matter how good the matchmaking is, or it doesn't matter as much, because matchmaking can only do so much when the ranked mode's not doing its job as well. But yeah, so that's the overall sentiment. But there's a balancing act to be had here, and I think that's really important to understand. The better the matchmaking, that means the more restrictions and rules the matchmaker has to have. Like I said, one of the rules that I had kind of set up in my hypothetical scenario was 200 to 400 point differential between the matchmaking. Now, this would undeniably make match like queue times longer, right? Like if I'm 1800, I have way less people to queue with, you know, and vice versa. If you are, you know, you're on the lower end of Masters, it's probably not so bad, but it would still restrict how fast you could find a game. So I think that if Pokemon Unite was to do like a social experiment and tighten the matchmaking for like, let's say 3 days, and make it very, very strict matchmaking, I wonder what the outcome would be, like from the community. I wonder what the outcry would be. Would it be overwhelmingly positive? Do you think that we would see a lot of messages on Reddit and in comments saying, hey, look, it's taking me too long to find games, I'm gonna quit playing the game? I wonder what the actual effect would be, because it seems like we're in a situation where the community wants to like have its cake and eat it too, and that just doesn't really work, right? Like, we're all gonna complain and say, oh wow, the matchmaking's really bad, but the minute you start asking questions about how long are we willing to wait, it seems like there's not much of a compromise there. So I'm really kind of at odds here, because look, I'll take it for what it is, right? I wish that the game was more serious and more competitive. And in terms of ranked, I don't care about anything else other than ranked, really. The matchmaking for standard, leave it be. I don't care. I don't play it. For quick play, don't care. Don't play it. But for ranked, for me, especially, maybe even the higher up the ranks go, the tighter the matchmaking to get to. Maybe that's the solution. Have like dynamic matchmaking changes that happen depending on what rank you are. But for me, I just always kind of thought that like ranked should be a metric of skill, and having like longer matchmaking times should be a sacrifice that the player base is willing to make in order to have that skill rating, that metric of skill, be more true. And I kind of fear that if the baseline understanding of ranked is Masters equals highest level in the game, and everybody feels like, okay, well, I got to Masters, I must be good, and everybody really knows that being in Masters doesn't mean that you're good, are we acting out of self-preservation because we're afraid of a system that's actually good? Or are we truly non-compromising and unwilling to play a game with longer queue times? So I want to be a little careful with my words here, because I'm really not trying to alienate anybody or make anybody feel like I'm just calling everyone bad. But the reality is that I don't think that Masters means a whole lot in this game, and I would love for it to. I would love for some of these ratings and these points and these games to be more serious. I would love for these matches to feel worth playing and worth grinding, and to really give us some substance. But in the current state of the game, I think that, you know, really the best experience you can get out of Pokemon Unite competitively is 5-stacking, 100%. Anything else is just kind of there. I think it's much better since the last patch with the like rank changes, because you can now actually consistently climb if you're winning. So that's good. It's definitely good, but it doesn't really matter as much when, you know, you're still getting matched with people like under 50% win ratio. Like I still check like some of my teammates every now and then, and like some of them will be like 48% win rate. And it's just kind of crazy to like see how, like, you know, as you climb, it doesn't actually change much for you. You're just climbing for the sake of climbing. And even if you're not climbing, just as you play, nothing really changes. It just kind of stays the same. So I really do want to hear your comments. I know that this game is not League of Legends. I'm not trying to make it League of Legends, but I think any game with a ranked mode should be treated a little bit competitively. So I don't know. That's just my take. But as always, friends, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I'd be very, very interested to hear what you think about this whole Pokemon Unite casual versus competitive, because that's really kind of where I'm at with it. Is this a casual game? Am I just, you know, am I stepping over the boundary a little bit? I think maybe I am, realistically. I think that if I had to give kind of my conclusive thoughts on like where I sit on the discussion, I think I'm on the wrong side of things. I think that I'm expecting too much from this game, and I should just take it for what it is, which I still will. Like, I love the game. I'm not really upset or anything. Just kind of an interesting discussion that kind of came out of nowhere, so I figured I would bring it up with y'all. So, as always, friends, be sure to be kind to one another, tell someone that you love them, and I'll see you on the next video.